This week in nerdy news, this is LTNN. J.K. Simmons is in talks to join the Batgirl film, reprising his role as Commissioner Gordon from the Justice League movie, according to The Hollywood Reporter. If he signs on, I'd expect him to play a slightly larger role in this movie, given he is Batgirl's father. It'll also be interesting to see if J. Jonah Jameson over there in Spider-Man land has anything to say about his own doppelganger in DC Comics Gotham. If we could get like a Daily Bugle headline just referencing it in the background, kind of on par with, Ryan Reynolds winking at Green Lantern during the Deadpool movies, that would be great. I'm all for it. Stargirl, which is moving to the CW from the now-defunct DC Universe, has released their extended trailer a couple weeks ahead of the August 10th premiere for Season 2, featuring the closest thing to a full-fledged Green Lantern yet, Jade, the original Green Lantern's daughter. She is seen wearing a ring and holding a lantern. It'll be interesting to see how close they stick to the Jade of the comics, as she, just like her father, did not acquire their ring or green power from Oa or the Guardians, like the rest of the Green Lantern Corps. Also, personally, I just really need to see some real Green Lanterns soon. I don't care if it's Diggle coming back this year to all the different shows. I don't care if it's the Green Lantern series on HBO Max. I don't care if it's a revival of Ryan Reynolds' movie series, but I need some more Green Lantern content pronto. And lastly, according to Variety, a new Pokemon project is in development at Netflix, led by Joe Henderson, the showrunner for Lucifer. It would be a live-action TV series, possibly in the style of the Detective Pikachu movie, but little details are known at this time. However, it's a safe bet to say that Ryan Reynolds will not be reprising his role as Pikachu. Did Ryan Reynolds get 3 mentions during this newscast? I gotta stop binge-watching that Deadpool and Korg react to the Free Guy trailer video. That was a good one, though. All right, just a couple more times. That was This Week in Nerdy News. I'm Radio Matt, and this is LTNN.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeshua Horca, and this is Reviews of the Nerds. Today, I'm reviewing the tabletop role-playing game Lancer by Massive Press. If you're a big fan of shows and games like Gundam, Zone of the Enders, Armored Core, or Titanfall, Lancer is definitely for you. Giant robots? Check. Customizable bits and bobs to kit your mech with? Check. Cultured lore that will leave you salivating for more? Check. Giant mass space battles with you and your mech piloting buddies at the helm? Check. In my 15 years of tabletop RPG experience, Lancer easily ranks on my top 3. Unlike other mech-based tabletops such as Battle Century Z, Mechton, or Battletech that can sometimes be a little crunchy or rules-heavy, Lancer encourages a strong narrative approach in its system for role-playing characters. But don't let that fool you. Lancer has a large swath of mech frames, weapons, gadgets, and upgrades to keep you spreadsheeting for weeks. The core of the system is based around a single 20-sided die, and in non-combat situations, your goal is to roll a 10 or above. If you do, you succeed. However, there are also modifiers called accuracy or difficulty, and these can either give you a bonus or penalty, respectively, to your d20 roll. For each accuracy bonus you have, you add a d6 or 6-sided die to your roll, and take the highest number out of all your accuracy dice to add to your d20 roll. For each difficulty penalty you accrue, you roll a d6 and subtract the biggest one. Luckily, accuracy and difficulty cancel each other out on a 1-to-1 basis. So, if you have 2 accuracy and 2 difficulty, you roll your normal d20 this round with no modifiers. Usually, your target number when rolling is 10 or above. In combat with other mechs or vehicles, your target number can vary depending on your enemy's statistics. And that's the basics. If you've been craving high-flying explosive mech combat, Lancer is the game for you. I give Lancer a strong 9 out of 10. I'm Jeshua, and this has been Reviews of the Nerds.
you ever been around another person who used a word or phrase that you were absolutely certain that you should know, but you didn't? Well, of course you have. Hey, don't worry, nerd, because we've got some great news for you. You're about to learn something brand new, and this will be useful. Not like that throwaway knowledge like math or science. This is the real world, bub, and you need to be able to hold your own in a nerdy conversation. So pull up a chair and pay attention, because LTN's got another nerdy definition for you. This week's definition is DPS. DPS stands for damage per second. Most commonly used in, but not limited to, MMORPGs, DPS refers to the amount of damage that your character can inflict on an enemy or an opponent during an encounter. The amount of damage that you can inflict is determined by your character's weapons, skills, items, and buffs. Your DPS can also be increased if your enemy or opponent has a weakness to your weapon type, race, faction, or even how you attack them. For instance, most rogues have an ability similar to backstab that gives them an advantage by increasing the DPS of their first attack while they are unseen. Oftentimes, a player can carry certain gear and use certain spells for a very specific encounter. Now, this is in order to maximize the DPS, making them more effective and efficient than if they had chosen randomly. So the next time someone is talking about how high their DPS is, you can test their flex because, well, you understand that reference.
Hey everyone, I'm Hector Miray, and this is Faith and Fandom 180 on LTN Radio. So one of my friends is an independent comic book creator, and he is doing a Kickstarter for a new book. And so I saw it on Facebook, and I automatically backed his project because, homies support homies. And then I was just thinking about his character, and I'm like, this would be a fun idea. So I made a comment. I was like, hey, I've got an idea for your character for a story. And we ended up talking back and forth, and I wrote him an outline for a short story, and he loved it. And he said, this actually fits really well with the project I'm working on. And so I drew up a storyboard, and my storyboard looked like hot buttered garbage. So he said, let's hire an artist and get this done on time. And if it works out, it'll go in the book. So I wrote a page and a half of text. It took me, in all honesty, maybe 10 minutes. I had a friend that is an artist that we hired him to do this project. He spent the better part of 3 weeks putting nearly daily work into doing this. It took a lot more than just me. And now it's in the owner's hands, and he's going to spend a lot more time doing lettering and getting it formatted and getting it up and printed and all these things. And this project is going to be a lot better with all of us together than it would be without it. And I think that's one of the faults the church currently has, is that we are in the mindset of it needs to be done by us and our way in order to be good. And I think in those times we end up building our own platforms instead of the kingdom. 1 Corinthians 3 verses 6 and 7 says, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. Verse 7 says, so neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow. We get so caught up in doing things our own way, with our own branding, without actually trusting other people to get involved, that I think we miss out as the church of being who we're called to be. I know that if I would have tried to hold on to my little idea for this book, it would have looked terrible. But I had to trust other people to be involved. Maybe we should start trusting others more as the church, to be the church. Remember to catch Faith and Fandom 180 every Wednesday morning on the Back Row Morning Show, only on LTN Radio. And if you'd like to learn more about Faith and Fandom, head over to faithandfandom.org, where you can learn about our Comic-Con ministry, podcasts, memes, apparel, and book series. You can even read new chapters before they make it to the next book. I'm Hector Miray, and thank you for spending the last 180 seconds with me.
This week in Nerd History, a tall, cool glass of Martian water.
Nerd History.
That's essentially what the Mars Phoenix lander was sent to find when NASA launched it on August 4th, 2007. Phoenix was the 6th successful landing on Mars, but the first spacecraft to land on the Martian Arctic surface. Its mission was to dig for ice and assess if the Martian Arctic ever had conditions that could support life. In July of the next year, NASA announced that Phoenix confirmed the presence of water ice on Mars as predicted in 2002 by the Mars Odyssey orbiter. During the initial heating cycle of a new sample, TEGA's mass spectrometer detected water vapor when the sample temperature reached 0 degrees Celsius. Water ice simply means that it contains the same elements as the water we have on Earth, and is not another form of ice, such as dry ice, the solid form of carbon dioxide. Many wonder why the discovery of water ice even matters. Well, it's about finding the organic materials and the building blocks for life. With this type of information, we can learn more about the history of Mars and how it became a desert wasteland. Phoenix ended up exceeding its intended 90-day mission, studying the planet for a total of 5 months. In 2010, NASA lost contact with the lander completely, but the data it collected continued to be studied for many years after. I'm Radio Matt. See you next time for more
Nerd History.